Welcome to the closing table with Mike and Shelby. Unfortunately, the beautiful Shelby's not going to be in front of the camera today. She's playing producer because we have a very, very special guest on our very first episode. He's an awesome real estate agent, an awesome family man, an even better person. Austin Young with Arium Real Estate.
I
Welcome.
appreciate it, man. You make me sound a lot better than what I am.
No,
We'll
I
rock
didn't.
with
I
it.
didn't say enough. I didn't say enough. So today we're gonna answer some challenging, tough, nitty-gritty questions for our viewers. Let's see how well that Austin and I can answer them for you guys.
100%. Well, again, thank y'all for allowing me, to be here. For me, home ownership is important. One, we live in America, and I think home ownership really is the foundation of the American dream, and what we kind of built our country on in a way that you can truly. It's one of the best ways to build wealth. And for me personally, that is a passion of mine, just because of my background, my ethnicity. I think there's a huge wealth gap that's there in our community. But that also, if you look at the numbers and the statistics, we have a low percentage of home ownership in our community as well. And so being able to improve the level of home ownership, improve the wealth gap, it ultimately is going to affects the economy for all, if you will. And so to me, whatever I can do to kind of help people achieve that goal, ultimately is I'm doing good for the greater good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well said. I mean, for me, um, I think we all at one point in our life we're renting at some point, and it's cool. It's great. You have an apartment to live in, your house over, a roof over your head. But at the end of the day, you can't call it your own. You
Right.
can't call it your own. You can't make it your own. You just, having that sense of home. I think everybody finds that kind of warm and fuzzy, right?
Absolutely.
And then, at the end of the day, it's one of the best investments you can ever make in your entire life. Like, obviously, I'm in this business to help people achieve their dream, whatever homeownership means to them. I'm happy to help them get there. At the end of the day, one of the most profound things, like you said, is just it's going to increase your wealth,
Right.
right? It's one of the best investments you can make, time and time again. It's tried and true, year over year. You're going to make a lot of money out of it. You're going to have your own home, and just get your holidays, your Thanksgivings, your birthday parties.
Right.
I mean,
where you build memories.
that's where you build memories,
Yeah.
right? So that's to me what homeownership means.
Um, it means a lot. It means a whole lot. For me, it's really the kind of the passion that drives my business. Because I specialize in working with first-time home buyers, and there's just a lot more love that comes out when it's not only first-time home buyer but first-generation home buyer. And there's several difficulties that they face, opposed to just your first time home buyer. Because if I'm just the first time, my family may have, wealth that they've built up over time that they can kind of help contribute towards my purchase, and so, but a lot of times for that first generation buyer, like myself, when I went to go buy, well, I technically wasn't first generation. We've had property, but through different things that went through in the family, it was like a restart or a retry at home ownership, if you will. But with the buyers that I've worked with that are first gen, they pull from every source they possibly can to make it happen. So it's more, I won't say just critical, but fragile when you're going through that process. So being able to handle them with care is something I do a lot. I put a lot of effort towards, is just making sure that my buyers have that clarity and confidence when they're going through it. Because if you've never been through it, you don't really know what to expect, and you hear good stories, but you also hear horror stories,
Yeah.
And so being able to kind of be there for that person, as you stated, in the biggest investment that they're more than likely making their entire life, and to make that process. I used to say stress-free. I no longer say that because
No.
the reality is buying a home is going to be stressful,
Yeah.
you know. And so, but if I can make it as smooth as possible, and as I said, and just give you that confidence while you're going through it. And, you know, I'm a man of faith as well. And one of the things I really hone in with my process is the Bible says this, and all that I get and get an understanding. And so I make sure that those first generation buyers, you're going to understand as much as you possibly can about buying a home. So that's why I just do everything I can to make it not only to celebrate them, but make it a big thing, but make sure they have that confidence through that process.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, more of what you said, honestly. We deal with a lot of first time home buyers, me and you both,
Yeah.
right? And nowadays, there's a lot of programs out there that can help those, even if you're first generation home buyers get into homes, down payment assistance money. I'm sure this hasn't. I've only been in business 10 years, but I can imagine this is all here and available to everybody back in the day, right?
Yeah.
So just giving someone the opportunity to be able to be a homeowner, to create wealth for their family. And I think you and I both have the same mentality. We're not just like, transactional. Like we want to set our clients up for the ultimate success.
Absolutely.
It's not just getting into the home. That's a huge win. But then how do you manage yourself after the fact so you can maintain your home ownership and then down the road set yourself up for even more and greater down the road as well. So it's always a very gratifying thing when you see a client on a social media post literally jump up and down for joy because they own a home. Those are the times where I feel most gratified.
Absolutely.
In my work. And for me, and I love this job. A lot of times it can get like mundane, we get so ingrained in the process, and you see those things like, oh yeah, this is why I do.
This is why I do it.
This is why I do what I do. This is why I go through the stress I go through. Because when you see people just elated with that type of joy, and then hopefully set their current family up. We don't want just that first generation now. We want that your next generation.
Right.
After that, all right. Now we set the trend, right?
Absolutely.
So it's one of the best things you can possibly do.
And before we go to the next question, I just want to say, because, for example, the young lady we actually just worked with, Alicia, she was a first generation home buyer, and in the celebration video, she specifically brought that up. But I'm sticking a pin on it just because there's often something where, first generation buyers, they say that they're the one that broke the curse.
Yeah.
Because it can feel like a curse on the family. Because if no one has owned the home, more than likely there's no wealth that has been generated.
How do you learn how to do it?
Right.
Who are you learning from? I mean, it's hard. Like when you have whatever your circumstance is, if you're not taught to do certain things or taught the things you need to do to be a homeowner,
absolutely,
it's challenging, right? So now that she knows what it's like, the process, what it's like, now she can give that knowledge to her kids and her family and whomever in her circle. So and that's just more for everybody.
And as well, you see how it's not just the buying the home, like you said, when you're doing the first generation, it's getting more even to outside of homeownership is their financial life, helping them learn how to budget, how to actually look at, you get a credit card, it's like, oh, I'm going to build my credit. So you go get a credit card, but then you max it out at 90%. It's like, well, that's no longer building your credit.
It's not the intent.
That's not the way that this works. Even if you're making your minimum monthly payments. And so you start to see where it shifts from you just having a job or a role as a loan officer, as a realtor, into really being a life changer.
It's my favorite part of my job, honestly. We talk to clients all the time, and I'll look at everything with them, and I'm like, I try to think outside the box. Like, I try to think, what would I do in this situation? If I can give them any tidbit of knowledge that could, I think, help them in any kind of way.
Yeah.
Even outside of just owning the home, like the overall financial profile. That's, for you too, that's what sets you apart as a realtor, because you connect with people and that shows that you genuinely care. 100%. You don't care about just making money.
Yeah.
You care about them and they really set them up for actual success.
Long term.
Yeah.
100%.
How long you got?
Because that list can definitely go on. I think one of the biggest misconceptions I'm gonna give you an analogy first because I'm a pastor. So a lot of times people say, "Oh, I'm going to come to church once I get my life together." And it's like, no, you come to church so you can get your life together. You come, to the Lord. And what I think happens in the home ownership world is people say, oh, I'm going to buy a house once I get all my life together. Or I'm going to talk with the realtor or talk with the loan officer once my life is together. And it's like, no, you come to me so I can help you get it together wherever you are. I can meet you where you are and put together the game plan for you. I think another one is people say, well, I want to get my credit better. And while that is not totally a misconception, you may need to improve your credit, but you also don't know what are the specifics around that you need to specifically achieve. And you can end up going and doing something that hurts yourself more than it helps you. And now it hinders your process. And it's like, if you would have came to me before you went to go see the credit repair person that just went and disputed all the things off of your credit and that was actually going to help you out. And so I think just people's idea on when they need to start or where they need to start is probably one of the biggest misconceptions. And the last one I would say that's I don't think it's there as much because of down payment assistance and people are becoming more aware of it. But matter of fact, I'm going to shift there. Is a lot of people think down payment assistance is means low income assistance, where down payment assistance you don't have to have low income. There's different requirements, and it's really something that just helps most of the time a first time home buyer, a first generation buyer, with being able to access home ownership and not have to come out of the pocket for that down payment. And so to me, I would say those are some of the biggest misconceptions that buyers have.
Yeah, I mean, you stole my thunder, honestly. Yeah, so you don't have to have perfect credit, right? People think it's perfect. You don't. There's a wide variety of flexibility in any underwriting guidelines. With good minds involved, there's typically a way we can find things to make stuff happen for people.
Oh yeah,
You
you
don't.
make magic happen. Magic
We
Mike.
we try, right? We don't. You don't have to have all the down payment. Like now, these are things that we definitely encourage to have an SA, to have a savings, to improve your credit. We always encourage those things.
Absolutely.
We want you to have that. Does not mean that you have to have it in order to be a homeowner, right? I mean, outside of that, I mean, like I think you nailed it on the head. There's so many things out there on the internet that may kind of misconstrue your thinking
Yeah.
into maybe I can't do this today.
Yeah.
You don't really know why. You don't really know if you can.
Mm-hmm.
So just talk to a loan officer, talk to someone who's in the game, who knows what they're talking about. And even if you're legitimately not quite ready, we're going to set you on a path to be ready as soon as possible. That is our goal. That is our mindset. So just don't, listen to everything you read online. Don't just take that as true hard fact.
Yeah.
Because every place is different. Every person's situation is different. Every credit score, the one 600 credit score is different from another.
Right.
It's not all the same. It's not all apples to apples. There's so much variance in how we view things. So you may be closer than you actually think you are.
100%. And I would even say, because while I'm listening to you about the down payment portion, I think another big misconception is, especially first time home buyers, because down payment is push, 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 that they don't consider the other financial aspects that come into buying a home, which you got your down payment right, but you also want to have an earnest money deposit that needs to go be put down. You're going to have inspection money that has to come out, your appraisal, your survey, and then the big one that people often forget is the closing costs.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that's another piece that's included there as well. I mean, in which there's things that can be done, but I do my best when I say, get an understanding. I'm going to tell you all of it up front, while I may be able to negotiate, while we may be able to, help out with down payment assistance, but it's better for you to be prepared,
100%.
From a worst case scenario aspect. And that could really, I think that's just one of the things that people don't consider when they're going towards homeownership.
Yeah, 100%. Give me a call.
There you go.
I mean, you never know. A phone call costs how much money?
Nothing.
Nothing, right?
They say it was
No
not
charge.
back in the day where you
What's
used
it?
to get charged.
I ain't charging you a dime for a phone call. So
Oh.
yeah, just call, take the 10, 15 minutes out of your day, call Austin, call myself, call, any realtor, any loan officer, us preferably.
Yeah.
But no, it just, you never know until you actually talk to a professional.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna, I know you said call anyone, and that's fair, because we're not talking now anyone in our industry, but I will still say who you call
I
matters.
agree.
You
I was
know,
being nice.
because I've worked with several folks, and I'm gonna keep leaning on this one because she's our most recent, client that we've worked with together. But when Alicia first came to me, the first thing she said was, "Hey, I don't think I can do this because I've spoke with a couple other realtors who told me, I need to hold off, I need to wait." And I'm like, "Well, tell me a little bit more about, your situation, about you. Tell me about that." And then she goes to tell me about the kids and the dream and everything that they've wanted from it. And then we dive into a little bit more of the specifics. And I'm like, I think I know a guy that may be able to help us. Let me pull on some of my resources. And so I would say, don't let one person who has told you no stop you from going towards your dreams.
Yes.
And that, while that applies to home ownership, that applies to just about anything that's worthwhile in life.
Yeah. Take the time, right?
Take the time, yeah.
Vet it, ask multiple resources.
Get a second opinion. You don't let, I don't know, if your dream is really worth it for you, figure out what it is. Not, the reality is, as we say, you Magic Mike, you make things happen, but we can't pull, blood out of a turnip. You
can do a lot of things. But you're right, though. I was being generous. Who you talk to does matter.
Yeah.
I could say all day, every day, call us, of course, but we just try to go above and beyond. You and myself, like, we're not going to give up until we've unturned literally every stone there possibly is, to our own health detriment.
Yeah.
But there's a way. So if someone tells you no, ask for a second opinion. Again, it costs you nothing to do.
One thing I would say I wish more people knew about getting started, and it may kind of be a reiteration of what we've kind of talked about already, is that there are more options available than you realize. And I would even say connecting with you expanded those options transparently, because for a while I always heard, hey, if you didn't at least have a minimum 580, it doesn't matter what you were doing, what you bring to the table, you can't get financed. You taught me that's not always the case, Austin. We still need to look at the total person, not just one aspect of their finances, not just the credit score, not just their savings, not just the debt to income ratio, but it's like all of that makeup really helps us determine what's going to be the next best step for this specific person. And so I think just people realizing that what may not have worked for my friend who just bought a house or was just trying to buy a house, and I know them, and my finances can't be better than their finances. It's like, you don't know your friend like you think you know your friend that drives the Mercedes Benz. That Mercedes Benz could possibly be the reason why they can't get a house right now. And so just reaching out and finding out for yourself what's going to be the best game plan for you towards going towards homeownership is something that I wish people knew.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. You're right. Don't just take what you see in your friend group as Bible, right? Everyone's situation is completely different, and I mean that. So take the time to talk to a professional. Is don't try to figure it out yourself, right? Don't just go on Chat GPT. Don't Chat GPT. Don't just go on online and do your research. Like, talk to a professional, because there's a lot of things out there that it's not going to be online. Creative thinking requires someone to dig into what you have and what you have going on.
Absolutely.
And just that's what I would say. Don't just assume you're not going to be able to do it. Just give us a call. We'll help you along the way. So let's do a bonus. Let's do a bonus question. We're going to do Austin. Let's talk about you particularly. What are some goals for you, either personally, through business, that you have for this year, for the remaining of 2026?
Got it. So I'm going with what I started out for the year. It was a what we call a bag, a big, hairy, audacious goal, and probably I had someone tell me at the end of last year when I told them this is my goal, and it was like, "Do you not think that's a lot, Austin? You know, with where you are?" And I'm like, "Well, it's what I want to do. It's what my heart is." And so for me, I came into the year saying I want to help 60 families get into home
Let's
ownership,
go.
and that while many realtors they approach their business from the aspect of numbers, which I'm still numbers wise, but numbers is often from the commissions aspect, what we want to do in volume, how much you want to earn. For me, it's all about the people. And regardless of how much I make, if I can help, honestly, if I help half of that, but if I help 60 people get into their homes, that, oh man, that's just huge for me. And just knowing that, because it's not just those 60 individuals, it's their children. And for me, I know the research, the impact that has beyond when a child grows up in a home, they're less likely to go to prison. When a child grows up in a house, not just, because technically we say a home is, anywhere a family gathers, but in a house, that child is less likely to go to prison. That child is less likely to experience teenage pregnancy. They're more likely to go off to college. They're more likely to be successful in their long-term careers. So when I'm helping those families, I'm not just doing them justice now. I am what I brought up earlier. I'm in a life changer. And for me, that's what it's about. And that's why my goal is this year help 60 families.
New tagline: Austin Young, the life changer. That's right. You heard it right here, and you're gonna do it, man. Hey, your goals are never too big.
Yeah.
Shoot for the stars, man, and you're gonna do it. We're personally proud to be your friend. Honestly,
same here.
You're a good dude, and you're gonna crush all your goals, and we're gonna support you along the way.
100%.
So
I got to throw that question back at you.
Well, I could tell you what my first goal was, and then I could tell you what my mentor, boss, confidant told me what my goal should be.
Okay.
So my goal for this year, to start the year, was to help about 150 people. We're well on pace to beat that so far this year.
That's awesome.
If you leave it up to my mentor, he would say I need to help 240.
Wow.
So we're going to shoot for it. We're going to do our very, very best to do it. But at the end of the day, that's all fine and dandy. That's all great. My number one goal is just connecting more people each and every day. More realtors, more buyers, anyone in the business, just make more connections.
Yeah.
Right? That's what we're here to do. We're in the connection business. We connect with people. We help people out. We're in the service business. And the more we can do that, the rest is going to play out itself. So 100%. We're going to get there, man. You got this, bro. You got this.
I appreciate you. You know it.